We've got some new scripts up, although I do want to cover the first couple different things, you guys, really quick. Wait for me to start. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Next week we'll be on Tuesdays and Tuesday and a Thursday. And no, I'm sorry. Next week we'll have a different schedule because Bold starts next week. That's right. Bold starts next week. So we're going to be on a Wednesday. We're going to be on a Wednesday, and we'll send out the link. And that only goes for 4 weeks. And then we'll see what we're going to do through the holidays and how that might affect us. So next week, make sure you mark your calendars that we're going to be on a Wednesday. If you haven't already, subscribe to Denny Delivers. That's my YouTube channel, Denny Delivers. I'll get this out of the way. Next, if you're new on the call, I see most regulars here, the Denny Grimes Mastermind. If you haven't logged on there, we're attempting to post more and more stuff there. You'll have access to some free tools. And then, of course, pricing charts, 1 of 3 things can happen, 7 reasons why a seller should sell in this market, which is right there. And we are going to go into our script practice here, and it worked out good this past week. I've got a little bit better system going right now on some randomized scripts that might be coming up. So anyone have any requests from the field, and we're going to handle everything we do, and you guys may do things a little bit differently. I attempt to always use question-based, listening-enhanced conversational scripts using this formula. Acknowledge, isolate, address, and close. And again, with the asterisks, all using questions. So does anybody have a situation that happened to them this past week where you might be going into a role play scenario or a real play scenario that you want to role play? If not, we're going to go into some different objections that I've been handed this week. So anybody have a request from the field?
Denny?
Yes, Rosie.
Good morning. Well, you know, the market is crazy here in Arizona, and a lot of sellers now, they don't even want to negotiate repairs.
Okay.
And of course, buyers want some type of repairs, but so I have the scenario where the buyer really wants the roof redone, right? It has to be replaced. And the seller is like, listen, I can sell my house tomorrow if I want to. So just dealing with the buyer and the seller in these negotiations, it has become a challenge lately because of the nature of the market.
All right, I think that's a valid issue. Now, Rosie, are you working with a buyer or seller in that situation?
Well, my clients are buyers, and I'm dealing with the seller's agent.
Your clients are the buyers, right?
Yes.
And your buyers think it needs a new roof, your buyers want a roof, and the sellers don't want to do a new roof, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, all right, for everyone, before we do a role play here, one of the things I always ask my agents when they come to me with a situation, just like Rosie has, I'm always going to ask, who is the one that's most unreasonable in the negotiation? Now, let's say that, you know, Rosie's actually working with the buyers and having to work through another agent. There could be 1, 2, or 3, in a rare case, 4 people that are unreasonable. So it could be the seller, it could be the buyer, it could be the other agent, or it could be a combination thereof, or everyone could be unreasonable. And the if we can identify who the unreasonable person is, the odds of solving the problem are going to be better. Now, you're in Phoenix. We've got other people here from Phoenix. I understand the Phoenix market a little bit because my wife and I have a home there, and it's very similar to our market. So you're in a seller's market. What's the price range of the house, Rosie?
It 690.
Okay, so why did I ask that? Because I want to find out if it's in the sweet spot or not. Remember, every geographic area has a segment that is a sellers, buyers, and a market that's equilibrium. So depending on where that is in Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever it happens to be.
Scottsdale.
It's in Scottsdale, so that is in the sweet spot for sure. There's not many things. I think the average sales price is greater than that in Scottsdale. Now,
Correct.
When your buyer bought the house, how long was it on the market?
It was coming soon when we were able to accept the contract.
So by asking a couple questions, are you guys that are, let's say on the sideline, you are the judges here, and I'm interrogating Rosie about her buyer. Are you already starting to get a picture of who might be a little bit unrealistic in the situation? So Rosie, let me ask you, who's the unreasonable person in this situation?
Probably the buyer.
Now that I love. How many people would agree with the buyer? I mean, a coming soon home, he makes an offer, they get it. I'm sure there would have been other offers, maybe even better offers, and I would guess a dollar to a donut that the seller could put it back on the market, and that's what the other agent's saying, and get another buyer. Would you not agree?
I do agree.
Okay. Then, with that in mind, do we have any volunteers? Rosie will be the buyer, and you can be the buyer's agent and see, can you walk her, and I'll time it for maybe 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. What questions would you be asking Rosie the buyer in that scenario? Does anyone would like to take that and have some fun with it? I don't want to have to do all the talking here. You guys are starting to learn this. So if I'm ever sick one day, which I trust won't happen, or if I'm out playing golf, you guys can take over for this class. So any volunteers? I'm going to get my timer started.
I'll do it.
Judy, welcome back.
I'll take it, Denny.
All right, Judy. Well, welcome back. Again, question-based.
Can't hear you.
It must be, turn off your computer. I think I'm coming through good. You all hear me okay?
I hear you.
Thank you. All right, Judy, you good?
Yes, I'm good.
All right, question-based. Okay, you're dealing with Rosie. She's the buyer. Go. You got 3 minutes.
Hi, Rosie. Well, I know that you were super excited to get this house under contract before it went on the market as a coming soon. That was a pretty exciting time for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So, and you were able to get the price that you wanted on the house. You were able to get the price you wanted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, is there any reason we can't go ahead and go forward and close this house?
Well, there's a $11,000 estimate for roof repairs, and I think it's fair that the seller pays some of it.
Okay. So this isn't new construction, correct?
No, it's not.
No, it's
Okay.
1987.
Right. And so, obviously we knew it was a 1997 home. And of course, home inspections are going to bring up, various repairs. Do you really think it's reasonable that a seller, having given you the first opportunity to get this under contract before he allowed any other offers, which could have been a lot higher, that he awarded that to you? Do you really think it's fair to ask him to do your repairs for you?
I do. I really think he at least should be giving me some credit or a reduction on the price.
Okay. So are you willing to totally lose this house over this $11,000 repair?
So I'm going to pause you just for a second. I mean, she's doing great with questions. Let me just pause this for a second. That right there, Judy, the rest was like, your warm up, blah, blah, blah. Bingo, you're now hitting on the pain point. So I would give you, basically, if you were a diver, I'd be holding up a card, a 10 on that question. So good, keep going.
Okay, so are you willing, this house that you wanted, that we were able to snag with all that excitement that you've had, and would you agree that it's a great house, regardless of any of the inspections or anything you found out? Are you still in love with this house?
Yes.
Okay, so I think what I would like to ask you, and what I would like for you to ask yourself, is are you willing to lose this house that you love and that you got a great price on, perfect location, everything you've wanted? Are you willing to lose that over $11,000?
Well,
Be your buyer. Be your buyer.
oh, I really think this is something he said. He's like, well, they used the house for the last 5 years, and I think it's fair they give us a little bit of credit. In addition, that the pool equipment is not working and other things came in the inspection.
All right, I'm gonna stop you now. All right, awesome. That's 3 minutes. Judy, you just heard that. What would be your last question? Not that you have to finalize this. What would you ask next?
So other than the pool equipment not working and the roof repairs that you're concerned about, is there any other reason you wouldn't go forward in buying this house?
No, there's no other one.
All right. Nice job, Judy. Now,
Thank you.
any feedback from you guys on that? What did she do well? What did you learn? What could she have done differently? I don't think she ever made a statement. In fact, you were scary good, Judy. So
I wasn't, I was going to add a little bit more there if you hadn't stopped me, because what I was going to say next is, what I'd like to do is I'm going to pull up some available houses in the market so that if you in fact do lose this over the 11,000, you could see what maybe other options are, even though they weren't attractive to you in the beginning. I would have taken it away from him.
got it. So let me ask you, any other questions that you would have, hey Kevin, any other questions that you would have thought of? And I'll kind of give you my blank, because again, there's more than one way to do it, and I think she did a great job. She's probably a little more talky than I am, which is okay. She took it to emotion, which is a brilliant move. Now, while you're thinking, if you want to post a question or just talk, you're in a quiet spot. One of the things that she did not do, though, until the end, she didn't isolate. And all of a sudden, the pool thing popped up, right? So if I were to put it under the microscope, I said, okay, understand, other than the roof issue of $11,000, is there anything else that's making you hesitate moving forward? Always, I did this, I just talked to my team yesterday on my script and role play class. You always go back to that model when there's something. Make sure that, although what they're saying, make sure there's nothing else there. Then the other thing you may want to do is this. Is the issue really the $11,000? Let's say there's not, I'm going to go back to Rosie. Just be the buyer and forget about the pool issue. Watch this, you guys. Watch this. And Rosie, let me ask you. So the roof issue is basically the one that's got you concerned about moving forward, correct?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you, what percent of that $11,000 do you think should be the seller's responsibility?
Well, I think at least 50%.
Now, you see, just by asking that question, it's not an $11,000 deal. It's $5,500. Now, you use Judy's question again. So are you really saying for $5,500, you're willing to lose the house? That should be kind of like an aha. Always get down to a particular number. Because many times, now Rosie could have said, I think all of it. However, by asking the one question, you're $5,500 closer to making the deal work. Any comments on that?
That's great. I think that's terrific.
Right.
I agree.
So then let me add that I'm going to I'll just put a bow and I'm going to take it. Judy could have landed the plane excellently. And may I say that she started her real estate career with me? No. She did.
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
However, she was a bright girl before she met me. Rosie, all right, this is what you need to ask your buyer. Let me ask, Rosie, when that house came on the market, what was the asking price?
$650. No, $675.
And what offer did the seller accept?
$680.
So $5,000 over, right?
Right.
Now, what do you think the possibilities were that they were multiple offers?
Oh, they did have another offer already.
Okay. And you felt lucky you got it, right?
Yes.
Now, what if that seller would have countered at $685? What would you have done?
Probably go with it.
What did I just do?
I would have accepted that. Yeah, I just gave that $5,000 that we're trying to negotiate in the equation, that we already won that battle.
So have you had that conversation with him?
No, I will meet with them tomorrow to,
That is a like game over in like
Yes.
3 questions. Once you got to $5,000, now basically the seller would have countered, and the buyer said I would have done it. Isn't it that equal? So basically, I mean, you're right where you thought you'd be, right? And if they still push back, then Judy had the right tack. Okay. Now, remind me now, Rosie, what market are we in? We're in a buyer's market or seller's market?
seller for market.
And that means prices are going up, correct?
Correct.
So that means the next house you buy will be more expensive than this one for the same size and accoutrements, correct?
Correct.
Is
Correct.
it possible you could invest more than $5,000 on your next home?
Yes.
So does it really
Yes.
make sense to
No.
lose this house
No.
and pay more? All right, awesome. Any comments
Thank
on
you.
that?
You're all invited for margaritas. Thank you.
No, we'd rather share in a 25% referral fee. Thank you very much. Okay, so all right, I've got one for you. This came in. Buyers are out there. Buyers are starting to feel a little safer from a COVID standpoint in a lot of areas. You know, the brick kickers and the looky-loos had gone away, and now we're getting some people that are kind of wandering into the market, and they may not be 100% as motivated as the buyers that we had like in the last month or 3. And who would like to take this one from a buyer standpoint? Hey, you know, I'm visiting, my brother lives here. I'm visiting him and kind of interested in this area of living. And I'd like to look at some homes and get an idea of what my money, what I can buy for my money here in this town. So somebody who's visiting and staying with family or friends, and they want to look at property, and where would you go on that one? You're going to start to see more and more people come into the market that are curious and maybe are shopping Phoenix, Florida, Boise, Reno, you name it. Sorry, Kevin, I don't know about San Fran. Who would like to take that? You're going to have to determine motivation and determine whether or not if you want to, what your policy is about showing someone that is lower on the motivation scale. So anyone want to take it, and you can put in a yes or no if you want it, just in your chat. And I'm watching the chat right now. If you want to take this, it's a yes. If you want to pass, put no. And I'll just let you guys vote on it. If it's a yes, we'll do it. If it's a no, I'll go to another one. I got a yes. Anybody else? You're playing another yes, one more, and it takes 3 to win. Whoever gets to 3 first. Well done. I guess that's a yes. All right. So I need a role play. I need a role play. Oh, there's a yes. Thank you, Al. All right. So Al, you're the last one. You're always a good role play partner. Will you be the buyer, please?
Sorry about that. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. All right. So I am going to, all right. So understand we're on the phone, and let me just start. So Al, by the way, Al, how did you get my name?
A friend of mine mentioned you.
Oh, okay. And I might ask a couple of questions. Who is your friend? Blah, blah, blah. I won't waste your time with that. You guys would do that on its own.
Somebody that there's a restaurant we've been going to, and somebody that we'll start corresponding with while we're visiting here.
Right.
And he mentioned you.
All right. And you're staying with your brother, right?
Yep.
And where do they live?
McCormick Ranch.
Nice. So are you interested in properties around that area or another area of town?
No, I like this area.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the location in Scottsdale, along with the idea that you can walk over here to some of these restaurants and take advantage of them.
Yeah, you got Fleming's right there, right?
Yeah.
I love the bourbon bar that's right there. So, well, let me ask you this. Have you decided to make Scottsdale your location? Because you'd mentioned you wanted to kind of get an idea what your money will do in this town. Are you considering other areas, or have you decided Scottsdale is going to be your next location?
Well, I want to move out of California within a couple of years. And Phoenix is an area that we've been looking at. My brother likes it here. The weather 9 months of the year seems to be pretty nice. So right now I'm looking at it as a second home, and eventually moving into it.
Now, so I'm going to break role play just for a moment to let you know what's going on in my mind, and I wonder what's going on in your mind if you're into this role play. Number one is probably the underlying thought for most agents. Okay, is this guy going to buy a home here or not? And what are my odds of getting him to buy here, or is this a big fat waste of time? So how do you, now isn't that what we want to know? Now the skill is, how can you ask that question? Because watch this, Al, what's the probability you're going to buy if I invest my time with you? Oh,
Well,
I'm kidding.
okay.
Don't answer that. That would be the direct question. That's what we're thinking. However, I wouldn't recommend you write that question down. How can we do it? We teach this. Who remembers a great qualifying question to begin with? It's very non-threatening.
Are you cash or do you have a pre-approval?
That's a great, that is a qualifying question from a financial standpoint. However, we want to find out where he is on the conveyor belt of wanting to move. So I use the 1 to 10. This is a perfect opportunity to deliver the 1 to 10. So Al, let me ask you this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning, you're kind of just beginning to look for your second home. Now I'm going to start feeding back the words he used, the second home. And 10, 1 means you just started. 10 would mean that if we went out and you found a house in McCormick Ranch or thereby that you really love, that you would buy it today. Where do you find yourself on that scale?
5+.
Now, understand many times, as we talk about here, sometimes the first question is not as important as the second question. Don't stop there, you guys, because 5+ means nothing, because it's relative, right? Is that good or bad? Oh, and so what you want to do is to go back and acknowledge, oh, that's awesome. So let me ask you, here's the important part of it. What would have to happen for you to get to a 10? Now, here's where you want to take some notes. Al?
Yeah, to get to a 10, probably be finding the right house in the right location.
Okay, now I'm making notes. I got the right house, the right location.
Yeah, I mentioned McCormick Ranch, but as you know, there's areas here in McCormick Ranch that are next to Hayden Road, which can get pretty loud. So I like somewhere where it's a little quieter and a little more peaceful, and a unit that's been updated. Most of these were built back in the 80s and 90s.
So stop right there, Al, just for a second. Now, Al is a detailed person anyway. However, when your buyer or seller, for that matter, is answering questions in detail, there's probably there's one of two things is going on. They're a high C, okay, detailed person, or there's a higher level of interest. If they're kind of general, that means their interest may not be as strong. So that's kind of a tip off, because he's actually doing, he's actually thought about it, right? So you got something, the right house, right location. That's kind of a normal answer. I got that. That makes sense. Now, other than that, what has to happen to get to a 10? Now, what am I doing? I'm following the model. I acknowledge, and now I'm isolating. I'm not really isolating it. I'm kind of unpacking everything. All right. So technically speaking, I'm unloading the car. not unpacking the groceries. So other than those two things, Al, what else has to happen?
I just have to make sure my employer knows I've got a second home here and find out if I can continue working from home at my employment. And if I can, it may move my scale up, time scale.
Now that's a biggie, because now it's no longer in his control or their control as a couple, it's in someone else's control. So what's the probability that's going to be answered today? Maybe not, right? Well, that makes sense. A lot more people are working from home. What else would have to happen, Al, to get you to a 10?
Actually, Denny, you've those are the main items.
Okay. Now, I've taken it thus far. What's on your brain? Somebody, this is kind of like, they have cage fighting. Back when I was growing up, they had wrestling. They had tag teams. So I could tag someone like partner. I think they still do that on wrestling. Where would you take it? Now you've got three things. He's on the phone. Where would you take it next? Are you going to spend time with him? All right.
But
Okay.
I
then,
would.
not working as a buyer, but as in your position, I think one of the first questions I'd also ask is this your first trip here to Scottsdale? Or
Okay.
you've been down here for a while?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, well, the issue is, I mean, eventually you're going to have to decide if you're going to spend some time with him. So, all right, well, Al, let me ask you, how long are you going to be in town?
Right now, I'm scheduled to be here for another 10 days.
I didn't want to hear that. All right, and so how much of that time would you like to set aside to become more familiar with the area?
I'm wide open.
I didn't like that answer at all. Because now the buyer, you might as well just get like a camper and camp in your parking lot. He wants to look at houses for 10 days, right? So, probably what I would do, and again, it has to do with what else you have going on. I mean, if you're at home watching reruns of Hogan's Heroes, that's all you got going on, meeting with anyone is probably worthwhile. So Al, I tell you what, if you'd like to have an orientation of the area a little bit and see what's available, I have some time in my office about 3 o'clock today, or I could do it maybe at 3 o'clock tomorrow, which is better for you.
Tomorrow will be great.
All right, now he's being cooperative. Now, I'm going to have the meeting in the office. Let's just take it one step further, and I find out that probably, because I'm going to go into, say, realistically, right house. I mean, when you think about this, Al, here's the thing. Do you believe that the right house in the right area will eventually be out there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's always going to be a yes question. I mean, a yes answer. So the controlling factor is, or let me ask you, is the controlling factor whether or not your employer will allow you to work from home?
Well, as I said earlier, I want to be out here within 2 years.
Oh,
I'd be out here at a quicker pace if they'd allow that. And I only had to fly back and forth for monthly meetings. But irregardless, I'm willing to make that commitment.
right. So if you would help me handicap this or put percentages on it, your boss probably a realistic time frame would be somewhere between a year and two before you're out here. Would you agree?
Well, right now, we've been working at home since February. So right now, I know I'm free until the end of the year before we may have to go back. All depends on the virus, Denny.
Well, I know, but however, do you see your employer allowing you to work from home in the next 3 months?
Yes.
Okay. So if we find a house right now, you're willing, you're ready to go forward.
Yes.
Okay, now Judy, I would go to your question on are you going to be paying cash or this financing? So I'd go through some financing questions. Now that's kind of an easy thing because he might be telling the truth. However, right now I'm still ready to spend some time with him because he's answering some questions right. Now let's assume though you've got a buyer because the premise of this situation came in when the buyer is a year or two away. Let's just now change it, Al, where probably, it's going to at least be a year or two probably before I'm in a position to be able to do this, yet you still want to look at homes. Has anyone in their career ever had that? Judy, I know we've had people come down, right? And they're like
Yes.
5 or 10 years, or, yeah, I want to, when I retire here, I want a condo. Well, they're 33, right? So
Yes.
and they want to spend, and we have what's called the vacation shoppers, meaning when the sun's out, they're on the beach. When it gets rainy, they want to look at real estate. So what do you do with people like that? So Al, last one, we'll put an end to this one. Let's just assume now you're probably at least 2 years away. Now the question is, how do you use your time? How do you make them feel like there's nothing wrong with having people in your pipeline? If you just burned everyone that wasn't 90 days away, you'd be working on a 90-day pipeline all the time. So Al, so you're going to be a year or two away, correct?
As far as living here permanently, yes.
No, let's just say as far as even having a second home.
Oh, if I find the right property, as I mentioned, I'm ready to go.
No, you're not. We're changing it. Right now, I'm in control and you're not. I want you
Okay.
I want you to be someone who's going to be a year or two away.
Yeah.
Because it's a no-brainer to work with somebody who could be immediate. So this is how I would handle it. Then I'll open it up to your comments or whatever, and we'll go on to the next one. So Al, you're going to be a year, probably a couple years away, correct?
At the most, yes.
I'm going to penalize you if you keep this up. So then would it be fair to say that whatever is available out there right now won't be available when you're here and ready to go in 2 years? Would that be accurate?
I'm sorry, ask that again?
If you're a couple of years away from buying, wouldn't it be fair to assume that whatever is active on the market now won't be available in 2 years?
Oh, yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay. So how can I best use your time here? Because looking at houses that are occupied by folks that are for sale now aren't going to be for sale in 2 years. How do we make your time here a win for you? Now, before you answer that, what I'm attempting to do here is I'm laying the groundwork as number one, I'm not going to spend 10 days with him. He's 2 years away. Number two, I'm concerned about sellers, meaning I'm not going to show him houses that are for sale now, and because one would be a big fat waste of my time. Yes, I know there could be a chance that they're going to like fall in love and buy. Yes, you could be driving down the road and find a lottery ticket someone just bought that happens to win the Powerball that night. However, it's not probable. And the third thing is I'm very respectful of sellers from my listings and other listings to take someone that's not ready and motivated and qualified to buy now. I'm not going to have some seller get ready for a showing that I know is not going to amount to anything. How do you handle a situation? And so this is what I would ask the question, how do we make this a win for you?
Well, let me ask you this, Denny. What do you think is going to happen with the pricing going forward?
Ask again, Al, it just broke up.
What do you think is going to happen with pricing going forward?
Probably one of three things. It might go up, might go down, might stay the same. What do you think?
Well, I know the market's hot right now.
Right?
Notoriously, things quiet down around the holidays. You think prices would drop then?
I don't know. Why do you ask?
Well, I'm going to be back over the holidays, so I just...
Stop it. No, you're not coming back.
Okay.
You're a buyer too. All right, that's strike two, Al. I'm going to mute you. You're 2 years away. How can we best use your time here?
Oh, let's meet in the office tomorrow like you suggested. let's see what's out there, and then we can, if there's something that looks interesting, we'll take a look at it.
Well, if it's here, my question is, we're not gonna look at houses, Al. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that for tomorrow, yes.
Or are you okay with that? Well, I'm kind of curious. Are you okay with that with the whole trip you're here? We're not going to be looking at houses. Is that okay?
I don't know. I'd kind of like to see some things, Denny.
Okay, well, then help me understand. And one is what I do, particularly if you have builder stuff there, you'd probably maybe set them up with somebody and let them look at some builder product. So when you see a home, let me ask you, if you see a house that's not going to be there when you come back in 2 years, what good is that?
Well, it's going to give me an idea whether or not what I'm looking for is potentially available in this area.
Yeah, I knew that would be the answer, and that's the setup question. So therefore, wouldn't a good use of your time be to educate you on the areas, what the homes are like, even if we can't get in them because they're occupied. So as you start to watch the market over the next year or two, you'll have a frame of reference. Would that be a real win for you?
It would definitely put us in the right direction. It would definitely help, yes.
So I'm going to stop and I can go deeper. Has anyone ever had a buyer just, what they'll do, some buyers are smart. They must go to a seminar and they learn how to lie to us about their level of motivation. Then all of a sudden they never buy. And I've had people come back year after year with the same thing before I got smart. So the question is going to be is how much time are you going to spend with them? And if they're not a or B buyer right now, are you going to, what amount of time or how can you service them to they don't get so upset that they never want to do business with you? However, you give them what they really want and need, and that's an education on the area. You might spend some time driving them through. I'll tell you what, Al, I'll spend a couple, based on our little conversation here in your price range and what's comfortable for you. I'll spend a couple hours tomorrow and I'll drive you through some areas, or if you have a team, your team member can. Some of you guys are single agents. I have always kind of taken that tack that I'm willing to invest a little bit of time with them. In the early days, weeks, the smarter I got and realized that's not working because you can't make a non-buyer buy, I would compress that and educate them on the area. Particularly if they're coming in for a fact-finding trip. We did a lot of relocations. Judy will remember this. We have Chico's headquarters here, and we did a lot of relocations. They're always bringing in 3 or 4 people, maybe for one position. We have to take care of them. We have to make sure we take care of our client. And so we would do the tour. Here's this, here's that, here's that. Pop them into a model center and help them understand what their dollars will do. So I just want to take a few minutes and handle that. And is there any ahas? Was that beneficial to anyone? Because as this market loosens up, particularly if it stays hot, the level of people being interested in real estate is going to grow. I said interested, I didn't say buying. Any comments on that?
I think that was perfect. I mean, one thing that I do is with people like that, I will make time during a 10-day period to at least meet them. And I explain to them when I meet them face to face and really have a conversation with them and maybe throw a few homes up on a screen and them say, oh, I like that kitchen. Oh, I don't like that style, like that. I get more of a personal feel for kind of what their likes are so that in the future when I send them homes, it's almost like I'm a matchmaker and I understand them a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the secret, is basically making them feel special, that you've taken enough time as a professional to invest in what they want, and letting them know that, listen, and there's a lot of ways to do it. Like we're not, if you were a seller, would you want somebody bringing in people that were not ready to buy? And if you were a buyer that was ready, and the reason I asked the 1 to 10 so I can mirror your motivation. So would you want your, let's say you were a buyer ready to buy in 2 years and your agent was busy, helping other people that weren't ready to buy, how would you feel? So, I want to give you the time out. I want to make a good investment of time. You're going to be here 10 days. Maybe we go out once or twice, and so you get the understanding of the area, which if I had my way, when you leave here, you have a good understanding of the area and what your money will do. And ultimately that will help you, right? That's how I'd end it. And Judy has, of course, I know her personally, she's got an awesome personality. She has that gift to be able to make people feel very special. So we'll finish and go to the next one. So here I've got, like we did last week.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Sure, Eli.
What would you say is the best source to pull up the neighborhood information for these people if you were going to show them multiple neighborhoods?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's pretty simple. I don't want to assume anything. So what I would do when you're sitting there, when you want to make the appointment in the office, we have a big screen TV up there, and so you get into your MLS and you're having a conversation with them, and you just get criteria. Here's the price ranges and whatever, and then you pull up. I just pull up a single line display, and I sort it by neighborhoods. And now you can really quickly see what neighborhoods are in their price range and pop into the map. Now, again, if most people like that process actually, and then you can, like Judy said, you can start showing them some pictures, blah, 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 narrow it down. So that's what I do. In fact, I just had a buyer was referred to me, and I give it to one of my team members, and they were looking for something in a certain price range. It was like $1 million or $1.2 million. No, it was a wide price range, 600 to like 1.2. And in an area of Naples, I wasn't totally sure. So I just did a lookup, sorted it by area. And I did that when I called them back because I knew a little bit from their email what they might be looking for. And so I was already, quote, the expert when I really didn't know ahead of time because it was a part of Naples I hadn't spent a lot of time in. So that's how I would do it. And I think most of you guys follow the same pattern, correct? So I need someone to give me a number. I've got a bunch of different objections here in situations. We're going to do this kind of a potluck between 23 and 40. Just type it in. First one I see, we'll do. 32. Now wait a minute. Two people did 32. That was the same one we did on Tuesday. So somebody's like stuck on 32. That one was, if you remember, I've had my listing for 3 days, and 500,000, 6% were $25,000. That was a negotiations situation. So I got 25. Okay, this is good. This will happen. Seller says to you, you're on a listing appointment, and the seller says to you, "You're amazing. Really liked your presentation. However, I've decided I want to interview other agents." Anyone want to take that? I'll give you 3 minutes, and no right or wrong. See where you go in that time frame.
This is a famous one.
Yes. Is that Eli?
Yeah, I think I have one for this.
You want to take it?
Yeah, I just want to find the script. I don't remember it offhand.
Well, let's go from memory.
Okay, let's try from memory.
All right, I need a seller. Give me a seller. Who wants to be the seller?
I'll be the seller.
All right, David, you're the seller. You just said, hey, you're amazing and like your presentation. However, Eli, I want to introduce some other agents. Go, Eli.
Hey, and I appreciate that you want to do that. Obviously, it's a big decision, and it's something you want to do your due diligence with. But let me ask you like this. What is it that you're looking for in another agent?
I want to get another opinion on the price. I'm not sure if I mean, obviously, you know the comps. It seems like you know the area. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision before I agree on pricing. That's why I want to interview another agent.
All right. Yeah, I get that. You want to make sure you're making the right decision with price and stuff. Now, before I come to a meeting like this, actually, I don't take this I don't take this stuff by myself. I actually sit down with a couple of other people with my team and we do an analysis. So if your main concern is about getting the right price, I can assure you that is something that I'm giving you correctly. Now,
hang on. That was a statement. How could that be addressed as a question?
And if I told you that the price that I came up with wasn't just my own price, but rather with my team of professionals, would that change your opinion?
Eli, that was a brilliant way to rephrase that. Now, how did that feel?
It felt a lot more. Not convincing, but convincing.
So, just so people can learn, David, I know when you play role play, you actually get into the role. How did that feel better than the other statement?
Yeah, it felt more confident, I think.
Yeah, well, they put you on the spot, so So I love the way you phrase that. So you know the question. What would you say, David? Now, how would you answer that?
So I would tell you, I mean, it's great that you have a team backing you up over there. I would just still want to get a second opinion. It's just like going into surgery. You want to get two doctors' opinions, and this is not surgery. It's my financial equity. I want to make sure I'm not giving it away, Eli.
Right. Hey, and I get that it's your equity, and like you mentioned about being a doctor. But let me ask you, if you went to a surgeon, he told you, hey man, and you have confidence in that doctor, and he said, we have to operate today. Would you say, hey, I appreciate your opinion, but I'm gonna wait and go interview other people, if you knew that you had the opportunity to get it done now, and now is an important time to get it done?
Well, it's not the same thing. If it's an emergency, obviously I would do it now, but I think I have another 1 or 2 days to get an opinion on real estate now.
Well, it's not an emergency, but taking time in today's market, especially with where the market's heading and the turmoil we're seeing, in a good way for sellers now, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So would you be willing to take the risk of waiting even 1 or 2 days that could potentially bring you an offer to get your house sold within this week?
Yeah, I'll take that risk, Eli. I mean, you sound like a great guy, and obviously you're a professional. Just get another opinion in 1 or 2 days. I mean, if I'm not convinced that the other guy is better than you, I'll call you and we could get it rolling.
All right, that's 3 minutes. Let's stop. So Eli, how'd you do?
I only had until the end. I had nothing else after that.
All right. Well, all right. What would you? Let's play game field. Anybody have any comments on that? Questions you to ask? Any input?
I have a question.
Yes.
This is Gunjan from Folsom.
Hi, Gunjan.
Hi. So I have a seller who is saying that I want to meet other agent to negotiate the commission.
Yep.
So
right.
How would I deal with that situation?
All right. So we're gonna let's hop into that in just a second. Okay. Thanks for bringing it up. So Eli, let me ask you a question. I did correct you on one statement. Did you isolate?
Did I isolate? At which point? Which question?
Well, you asked the question, why does he want to interview other agents? And what did he say? In fact, he almost volunteered it.
Right.
Why did you want to interview other agents, David?
Because I want a second opinion.
Yep. On price.
On price, yeah.
So you were awesome at acknowledging on all of them. You did it awesomely. However, you didn't ask him, other than that, is there any other reason why you want to interview other agents?
So,
Go ahead, Rosie.
So I would have said something like this. So other than the price, is there any other reason why you wouldn't hire me today?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, David, this sounds kind of familiar because I think we role played this because you had the situation coming up, didn't you?
Right.
And do you remember how we role played it?
This was, I think, 2 role plays. We did this last week.
Yeah. So we'll refresh this here. This is how I want to do this because this is really important. Let's assume I've isolated and then want to get a second opinion on the market. And well, then we'll do the commission one, okay? All right, David, you want a second opinion on the market. And so basically when I showed you the comparables, the comparable sales in the neighborhood, what numbers were they at? And this is just, I'm asking you to, so these guys know where the market is, what price range we're talking about.
Well, you're showing me comps at 425, and I'm not sure, if the best way to go around is to price it high right now at 450, 460, or just start a little bit below, and maybe we'll get multiple offers. So that's what I'm concerned about over here.
All right, so your comparables around 425. What is your expectation based on what you think? You've seen stuff around. You're a successful business person. What is your expectation, or make you happy that the market would give you for your home?
I'd love to get 460.
Okay. So, and if let's assume now that the interviews were out of the way based on what you know right now, and you chose me. You made a wise choice to choose me. What would you choose to have as your initial asking price right now?
I'm not sure. That's why I would feel more comfortable if I can get that number from you or the other realtor and then make a decision.
So what number are you looking for? Are you looking for where a number the agent's going to give you that it's going to sell, where you should list it, or what?
So I'd love to get 460 over here.
Right.
But I'm just concerned. I don't want it to take too long or to damage my house if it's going to sit. Maybe it's better to start lower and and get multiple offers in this market. I'm not sure. That's why I need another opinion to give me that confidence what to do.
Well, there's several things, and I'm just going to assume for time that was it. I could isolate there other than, you don't want your home to sit. What else concerns you? So let me ask you when you look at the comparables, those are all recent sales in the neighborhood, correct?
Right.
So another agent's not going to be able to show you any other sales that are in your neighborhood than these right here. Would you not agree?
I agree.
So you're looking at the same information. What do you expect the agent to tell you that would be enlightening that I haven't already told you?
So again, I'm not sure if we should start higher or start at 425 or maybe below. That's what I'm confused about over here.
Okay, and if you were going to interview other agents, let's say you interview, how many are you going to interview?
Just one more.
Okay, and what did I recommend you do?
I think you recommended to start higher and then we can always come down.
Well, I actually let you make that decision yourself, correct?
Okay, right.
And so what if this other agent says the same thing? Then what do you do?
Then I would have to decide which one I like better, you or the other one.
So you're looking for confirmation of the strategy, right?
I mean, yeah, if you'll tell me the same thing you're telling me, then, I'll probably go with you. But if he gives me a completely different strategy to get 460 and I like that strategy better, maybe I'll go with that one.
Well, let's assume the agent gives you a different strategy. What would be the different strategy of the one that we're suggesting? That you start higher, and then if you're too high, you come back down. What would be the different strategy?
To start lower, maybe. I mean, maybe that's it's going to give me better results. I'm not sure.
And is there any other strategy in between those?
I don't think so. No.
So then therefore the other agent can't give you another strategy, can they? We're already discussing 100% of the strategies. Would you not agree?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So isn't the strategy you're looking for, regardless of this, we can discuss both strategies. Isn't the important factor is which agent you have to help you pro and con each one and walk you through the process.
Okay, I get that.
And so based on our conversation, what is your level of comfort with me as a professional here?
I'm very comfortable with you, Danny. Just want to feel comfortable with the price.
Okay. Now, then therefore, if we can feel comfortable with the price here today, are you prepared to list with me?
I think so.
Okay. Now, you see what I did? if they want to interview other agents and they say price, okay, and that's very common. We'll go to commission in just a second. Okay, so what are they going to do if the other agent comes in higher? What are they going to do if the other agent comes in lower? What are they going to do if the other? I was actually taking him to the future as if the other agent was already there, and he was talking about strategy the whole time. And I basically, I peeled away his concept that an agency, they're either going to agree with the strategy or disagree with it. However, you're still going to have to make a decision. And David, do you feel like that was logical enough if you were a seller that you would say, oh yeah, well, I guess you're right. There's only two strategies. Let's talk about them. I feel comfortable with you. So now if he said, I'm not comfortable with you, now you have to dig in a different hole to figure out why they're comfortable. Any ahas, any comments on that before we go to the commission one, and then we'll be at top of the hour.
Yeah,
Oh, that was awesome. That was good.
that was great.
Okay. Now the commission one. So, oh yeah. Okay. I get it. Sean says, so let's say, okay. So really quick, and I get the commission. So, all right. So what will you do if the other agent says they're going to give you $10,000 more, David?
What do you mean? $10,000 on the commission or on the price?
No, we're just one more question on this. The other agent, let's say you're going to have the other opinion because you're going to get another opinion on price. If they say that you're going to, other agents going to give you $10,000 more, then what will you do?
I would ask him to back it up with evidence that he could really get me $10,000 more.
And I've already asked you the question. These are the comparables. There's no more evidence. So what would you do if the agent says he's going to get you more looking at the same evidence?
Well, if you can guarantee me $10,000 more, I would probably go with him, but I'm not sure if you could do that.
How could an agent guarantee that?
I don't think they could.
Therefore, if someone's basically giving you a bad number in order to get the listing, knowing they're going to talk you down later, is that somebody you want representing you?
No, I wouldn't want that. No.
See, the bottom line is, Sean, you want to get to the point where you're looking at the same data because you are. And the only difference is in interpretation. If you go back to my philosophy, we don't set prices, we set expectations. I'll let them list it wherever they want. I will advise them. Now let's go to the commission. Let me just go back up here and understand this so I understand the question. Seller wants to negotiate the commission with the other agent. Okay. All right, so David, it's you want to interview to get a lower commission, correct?
Correct.
And so we're at 5, let's say. And what are you hoping to negotiate? How much lower are you hoping to negotiate?
If you can take the listing at 4%, I'm okay with that.
All right. Now, once you have a number, this is almost a backwards commission one, meaning generally speaking, we've always done the role play. I like this. It's interesting from somebody else that came in ahead of you that offered it less. Mm-hmm. And now it's the other way around. So you said 4%, right, David?
Right.
Other than commission, I'm just practicing what I preach. I'm isolated. Other than commission, and any reason why you wouldn't do business with me today?
That's the only reason. If I know I can, net a certain amount, and you take the listing at 4%, I'll sign right now with you.
Well, now you said net. I was a little bit confused because
forget that. Just 4%. If you can do 4%, Denny, I'm okay to list the house.
Okay, and so let me ask you this is the same path you already know. What's more important to you, what you net or what you pay?
Obviously what I net.
Okay. And if the other agent comes in and they're at 5% and they offer, and you say, hey, look, I'll do business with you at 4%, would you be prepared to do business with him at 4%?
Yes.
And would you like to know why that would be a very bad move for you?
Why is that a bad move?
Well, what do you hire a real estate agent for, by the way?
To get me top dollar.
Okay. And so to get top dollar, what does your agent have to do well?
He's going to have to market my home and bring buyers, qualified buyers, and get it sold in a good time.
You see, that's all blah 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 stuff to me. Because what are you waiting for? you're waiting to see if they bring it up. Most likely they won't on the negotiation side. So I got that. You're right. You're right on all that stuff. However, do you think when an offer comes in and there's some things about the offer that you don't like, would you want your agent to have the skill in which to negotiate that to your advantage, or would you want them to cave, good word, to make it to the buyer's advantage?
No, I want him to fight for me and get me top dollar.
Okay. And so if you want to hire someone that will fight for you, would it be a good idea to hire someone that won't fight for themselves?
Sure.
You see where we're going with that, you guys?
Yeah.
Now, the challenge is going to be this. If they're a 4% model. Now, we can do that next week. You'll get it. Remember, it's not Tuesday and Thursday next week. If they're a 4% model, that script does not work. Why? Because that's their model. And there's people around that have that model. And there's other types of firms out there that charge whatever commission they charge. So then it's a different ball game. You all understand that, right?
Yeah.
All right. So who wants to put
Thank
something?
you.
Who wants to put something in the chat, an aha, or say it out loud if you don't want to type? What did you learn? Give me a couple ahas.
You made that
For me-
so easy.
Okay. Next.
For me, it's the negotiable in commission is good one.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for being on.
I like
Always unload before you unpack.
Yeah. For you guys that have been on the call for like weeks and weeks and months, are you seeing a pattern?
Yes.
Yes.
You're in total control when you talk with those questions. It's amazing.
And the isolation also, I notice, is so important because it boils it down in their head that it's, oh, this is the only reason, and doesn't make that much sense, my reason, as opposed to if I start just blabbering on, they'll think of 10 other reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys are great. I'd put you guys, every one of you, at least if you've been on a few of these calls, I'd put you up against almost any other agent out there unless they're the elite of the elite. Because the model, Keller Williams, it doesn't matter what company you're with, Keller Williams is a company of systems and models, and that model of acknowledge, isolate, answer, and close works with or without questions. However, I think it's magic when you use questions. So thanks for being on. All those Facebook fans, if you're not a member of my YouTube channel, Denny delivers, Denny Grimes YouTube. No, I'm sorry. Denny delivers YouTube and Denny
Yes.
Grimes Mastermind on the Facebook page. So you
Thank
guys,
you.
Thank you, Denny.
you bet.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Denny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denny.